Okay, so today we're going to talk about something that's, well, it's probably on a lot of our minds, and it might even feel a little uncomfortable. It's this question right here. Is our constant use of AI giving us brain rust? I mean, let's just be real for a second. Think about the last time you faced a tricky problem or had to write a tough email. Did you reach for an AI tool? It's become so natural, almost like a reflex for a lot of us. But what happens in the long run when we always take that shortcut?
And hey, full disclosure, I'll be the first to admit it. I used AI to help brainstorm some of the ideas for this very script. It's an amazing tool, no doubt about it, and I'm willing to bet you've used it for something just like that. But this brings us to a really important idea we need to unpack.
So, what on earth is brain rust? It's a pretty strong metaphor, right? But it points to something that could be a very real side effect of this new relationship we all have with technology. Think about it like this. If you leave a tool outside in the rain and never use it, it gets rusty. The idea here is that the parts of our brain that do the heavy lifting, the deep, critical thinking, they could start to weaken or rust if we're constantly skipping over them to get an instant answer from AI. It's really about the skills we risk losing when we stop giving them a workout. And here's where it gets really fascinating. The difference in how our brains and AI work. Our brains are built for deep synthesis. We wrestle with ideas, we connect dots that don't seem connected, and we come up with something truly original. AI, on the other hand, is an absolute master of surface-level retrieval. It finds patterns in mountains of data and assembles a summary that sounds really plausible. Both are useful, for sure, but they are not the same thing at all. And that convenience, it's amazing, but it might come with a hidden price tag. So how does this whole rusting process actually work in practice? It happens in this little cycle. It starts when you run into a real challenge, but instead of diving in and doing what experts call productive struggle, we just offload it. We hand over the hard parts to the machine. And by doing that, we completely bypass the steps that actually build and strengthen our mental muscles. If you do that over and over, those neural pathways, they just start to get weaker.
Which brings us to this, 0. That's the amount of genuine, deep intellectual struggle it takes to type a question and get an answer. It's totally frictionless. And while that efficiency is great, you have to stop and ask, what are we losing when we lose the friction? Because here's the thing, that struggle, that's where the growth happens. That's where we learn how to be patient with a really tough problem. It's where we make those wild, creative connections. And let's be honest, it's where we get that incredible feeling of satisfaction from finally figuring something out all by ourselves.
Now look, this isn't just a theory. There's a real-world story from a classroom that really brings this whole thing to life. This is about a teacher who is right there on the front lines of this whole tech revolution. Seeing the very first generation of students who have had powerful AI in their pockets their whole lives. And on the surface, her students seemed brilliant. I mean, their recall was perfect. You asked them for a date, a name, an event. Boom, they had the answer instantly. They were absolute masters at retrieving information. But she soon realized that's not the same thing as knowledge. Because this is what happened next. She found they had all the whats, but none of the whys. When she asked them to connect the dots, to explain cause and effect, to actually build an argument, there was nothing. Just silence. The critical thinking part, it just wasn't there. So her takeaway was pretty chilling. She realized that having instant, ready-made answers all the time was actually getting in the way of them learning how to do the hard work of thinking for themselves. They were becoming incredible consumers of information, but not creators of knowledge. So, this all sounds a little grim, right? But where do we go from here? This is not about getting rid of these incredible tools. It's about getting smarter about how we use them. And this right here is the most important takeaway. The technology itself isn't good or bad. It's neutral. It really all comes down to us. How are we choosing to engage with it? Are we using AI as a launchpad for our own thinking, or are we just using it as a replacement for our thinking? Is it a tool to make us smarter, or just a crutch? And I'll leave you with this last thought to chew on. Thinking, it's not just about getting answers. It's how we form our opinions, how we build our own unique worldview, how we understand our place in the world. And as we hand more and more of that core process over to an algorithm, it's really worth asking, what essential part of being us are we choosing to give away?